Hey, Will, I'm not sure if you noticed or not, but Christmas is here. It's here.
I could tell
You might have
by the
noticed
setup you've got going. I could tell that Christmas is definitely here.
the subtle signaling here in our video, yeah, that Christmas has arrived, and our much anticipated Christmas episodes. We're going to do two. So we got one for this week and one for actual Christmas week.
Hmm.
But for this episode, we're going to be discussing a most insidious, pernicious cultural phenomenon, and it's a little bit tongue in cheek this week. Not too serious, but I wanna compare a little bit. And I'm not look. There's a something of a cultural meme that says that if you eat Chinese food, right? You've heard this, right? That you're hungry again. You eat Chinese food, and then you're
Mm.
hungry again 5 minutes
Yes.
later. And I want to kind of compare this to Christmas. I want to be like, all right, so Christmas is the cultural holiday equivalent of Chinese food in that as
Mm.
soon as Christmas is over, everybody like takes a nap and then wakes up and goes, well, when can we have Christmas again?
Yes.
Have you noticed this?
I have my almost my whole existence. And I believe the Chinese food thing is about the sodium. That's the actual biological,
MSG.
chemical reason I think that we
Yeah,
are
MSG.
hungry yet again. But someone can correct me if I'm wrong on that. But I think it is the sodium that does it. Or the cat meat.
Yeah.
I don't know. Either one.
Right. So what is it then? What is it that makes us want to? I mean, I have my theories about what, and there's this phenomenon that I call Christmas creep, which is to say that, the more our society becomes frustrated and polarized and people get angry and they're overworked and they're sort of tired of their job or they're unhappy in their marriage or their kids won't listen to them or whatever. It's like, when's Christmas? You know what? It's
Right.
July. Let's do Christmas. It's July, right? Well, let's call it, how about we'll call it Christmas in July? And I have to say this, my personal experience was on Halloween day, I was like, oh, shoot, I forgot to get candy. It's like 12 noon on October 31st, which is Halloween, right? We did our Halloween episode. And I go over to Walmart and I can't find the Halloween candy anywhere because they already have the Christmas candy out.
Right.
And I'm like, it's Halloween day. It's Christmas candy. Where's the hot? And they're like, oh, yeah, it's in the clearance aisle. And I'm like, okay. So, I mean, literally, Christmas has now crept into Halloween. Yeah. So I don't know about you, Will, but this is troubling to me.
Well, it's something that it's like we didn't even have, a minute to adjust, and you end up missing, that beautiful time of Thanksgiving too, that I hear is a lot of people's favorites as well, and a good time to reflect on family, and it gives the same, it can give the same warm feelings if you allow it, but people want to rush so fast into, and I think it's just, it's the same reason that a family wants to go to Disney, in my opinion, as much as possible, because when you're at Disney, everything is perfect and beautiful, and everybody's, nice to each other, and, mommy's
That
nice to
hasn't been my
daddy, and the family's
experience.
getting along, and, but,
Right.
and I think in Christmas time, it's like everybody gets along, everybody's giving each other gifts. Wow, this is
Yeah.
such a warm, fuzzy, everybody has to be good to one another time. And that's what ends up happening for a few short hours on December 25th. And then when the crash hits, or like when the sugar crash hits, if you will, it's kind of
The
just
sugar
back
plum
to, yes,
crash.
when yeah, when that hits, it hits hard. And then actually a lot of people can end up in like a depressive state even after Christmas, because then the long winter, Christmas was all warm and fuzzy, and there was so much buildup and so much anticipation. I think the anticipation is half of it too. I actually noticed in these past few years that my anticipation of Christmas actually can sometimes be more like a strong feeling than Christmas itself. That's the build up and the music and the putting up the lights and everything. It's like they're anticipating this big, beautiful, euphoria that's coming, and then when it finally hits. it disappears kind of quick, and then you're, like kind of foaming at the mouth for it again, like you said.
Right. Yeah, or seasonal affective disorder, passed out in the other room. Yeah, so I don't
Right.
want to I don't want to I guess trash Christmas at
No.
all. But neither do I want us to sort of like what's what we do in this podcast, right? We ask what's the story behind this?
Hmm.
And the magnets appeared, I want to say maybe 15 years ago, keep Christ in Christmas, right? So that it became a part of the culture war
Right.
that Christmas needed to be about Jesus. But here's my pushback, not on that Jesus needs to be a part of Christmas, but my pushback on this notion that it's all about Jesus, when in fact, if our lives are focused on Christ, the comfort and the joy is what He brings. It's not what the
Right.
holiday brings, right? Because there was no sort of 11th command, and thou shalt celebrate my birth every year and make it a huge party
Right.
with lights and trees and gifts and all of these things. No, we added that on, and
Hmm.
and I want to say that like the Christmas has expanded, and I'm not saying that we don't remember the reason as Christians for the season,
Right.
but I think we've forgotten that comfort and joy came with Christ, and the comfort and joy stays even when Christmas is over, if in fact Christ is the source of the comfort and joy.
Right.
So and it kind of begs the question, like, what is so uncomfortable and unjoyful about the rest of our lives throughout the year that we got to put all this weight on Christmas? And so, I mean, it's a question without an answer, but I do think that we are increasingly polarized. We're increasingly, as a culture, unhappy. We get richer, and we get more depressed.
Hmm.
And I think, as a culture, we're just a deeply unhappy people. We spend our time scrolling through phones, and so then what Christmas promises is this kind of like you compared it to Disney, right? This kind of magical escape into
Right.
a wonderland of joy and childlike, excitement and all of that. And our next episode, we're going to talk about what the ideal Christmas is for you and for me. But for now, I just want to look at this story and be like, what happened to Christmas that now it's got to carry all the weight throughout the calendar year of comfort, joy, peace, hope, all the good things that faith brings. Well, it's all stacked on Christmas now.
Right. Right. I think, we've kind of like pinpointed it. Well, it's because of where it falls too in the year. It's at the end of a year. So you've been pushing and moving this whole year, and like we live in a society now where it's like you just push until are dragging your feet and have no energy left. And this is just with the everyday things. And then when you're not pushing and going, you're scrolling and intaking. So like, your mind is constantly on overdrive. And I think for a ton of people, they can identify with the fact that throughout the whole year, you feel like you've just been running. And it feels like Christmas is that time where it's all going to like finally just give. And it's like, okay, well, on Christmas, it all just like most people are off from work. Most people have breaks from school. It's this time that we like to finally take a break. And so
Yeah.
that's where, the timing aspect of it, I think, is too. But then also there's this also societal change that happens in everyone where everybody's a little more happy and a little more nice to each other.
Mm.
And, you go to the store and, it like, oh, we can at least agree on Christmas. Oh, well, everybody goes to grab a Christmas tree. Or like when I'm going to buy my Christmas tree, I finally have a conversation with somebody, like a stranger, that I haven't had a conversation
Yeah.
with all year. It's just this one, again, like I compared it to Disney because it's like you're in this space and time where it's just like, oh, everything's so happy and great. And it's like you said, a step away from reality. But I think partly the big issue here is that you've had companies and movie industry and I mean candy companies, whatever you want to call it, holiday companies. Like I don't even know what you'd really categorize them in, but they've taken over so badly with the Christmas this, Christmas that, this decoration, that decoration. Amazon too, just how much stuff we're just like turning into like it's basically compost at the end of the day. We're going to order it and throw it up, and then we're just going to rip it down and throw it out. Even the idea of just bringing a dead tree into the house to dress it up all nice and then to just throw it to the curb, it's kind of like, hey, what are we doing? And like, do we all remember the reason that this is happening, or is now this just become one of those cultural things that we just do, and in that time we have some fuzzy feelings, and and then it's gone.
Yeah.
Are we actually celebrating anything? Like, what are we actually celebrating?
Yeah. And that's what I want to suggest that Christmas has become for us, that the story of Christmas, obviously, the story of Jesus' birth is one story. But culturally for us, really with the post-World War II generation, that's where Christmas kind of took off. And you have movies like It's a Wonderful Life and Miracle on 34th Street, where it becomes something transcendent, where, in fact, I just watched that movie Miracle on 34th Street with my daughter, and I was just sort of captivated by the fact that the whole movie is really about Macy's and about how if you believe in Santa Claus, you're going to shop at Macy's. And but at any rate, now I realize what this makes me sound like, because we also have these caricatures that have been encoded into the Christmas culture. These two characters, and they show up every year along with Christmas, and they are reflections of the anti-Christmas crowd, right? And I'm sure you know who I'm talking about, right? So one of them is a Charles Dickens character.
Yes.
And this is from a time before Christmas became the cultural phenomenon that it was. In fact, Dickens is widely credited with like introducing Christmas spirit into, Western civilization. And then the second was a little more recent, and a rhyming poet, and he certainly does know it. And he introduces Cindy Lou Who and the guy who poo-poos Christmas, right? And so these two characters, who are they now, man?
So we got Ebenezer Scrooge, Mr. Bah Humbug, and we've got Grinch. That's it. I'm not going. That guy.
Right. Yes, the Grinch.
Yeah.
Right. And what they do is they help us to see that if you're not fully, just magical and Christmas to the, to the extreme, you're obviously either a Scrooge or a Grinch.
Right.
And so actually what these two characters do is they demonize any pushback on Christmas creep. So Christmas creep is this phenomenon that says, no, Christmas is great. It's amazing. It should get bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And if you don't agree, you're either a Scrooge or you're a Grinch. And what's the lesson? The lesson that both of these stories tell us is the more Christmas spirit you have, the happier you will be. And how can you argue with that, right? But here's my problem with it. I love Christmas. I love celebrating with my kids. We're going to talk some about what I love about Christmas, and hopefully you'll tell some about what you love about Christmas in our next episode. But I guess I just want us to be able to take a step back and go, what happened? Why is Hallmark basically releasing, how many movies? They're releasing 1 or 2 movies per week.
Yeah, I've actually been on the set of a couple and actually made a couple myself.
Tell me as a filmmaker, tell me your impression of, let's call it the top of the line Hallmark movie and cultural impact and its value as a piece of film.
Well, I think it's just become something to consume, just like you consume anything else. I mean, and you go to BJ's and you buy a huge thing of paper towels that'll last you 5 years worth. Does anybody need that? No, but this is America, so why not? So this is America, so you don't need one Hallmark movie, you need 5,000. And you can put them on repeat. And they all seem to say the same thing. And, every time I watch them, I really don't know if that city girl is going to end up with that country guy at the end. I'm always puzzled. She can't possibly fall for him, and she can't possibly be coming to this hometown that she grew up in. There's no way. No, actually, I just think it's junk food is what it is. It's just like tabloid magazines. It's the same kind of, it's just production. It's like, oh, people like that, so let's just produce a ton of it. And people actually, I've heard about this. This is something that they've tested with Netflix, is to see the movie's ability to withstand you like scrolling on your phone and watching at the same time. I forget what
Right.
they called it, but they actually like looked
Yeah.
into it, and there are movies that know that will happen. And so like
Yeah. They call it
they're
the
either
second
written,
screen.
produced, or made. Yeah. So
Mhm.
those are movies designed to sort of be in the background. I would say they're just as valuable. I think a Yule log like you have is probably more valuable than any of the Hallmark movies at this point, to just leave running on your TV. But people just love, some people do go for that though. I mean, there's some people that I know that would sit and watch those just because, yeah, they know the deal, they know it's cheesy, but they love the story and the payoff and the romantic just sap. And
Yeah.
and some of the cheesy acting and the cheesy sets and the whole thing is like kind of the allure to it.
Yeah.
It's kind of put a mark and imprint.
And the formula, right? The formula of,
Right.
like you said, I
You can
know
only do the
exactly what's going to
formula
happen.
so many
Time to get,
times. Right.
yeah.
But it works.
Well, so I don't want to I don't want us to come across here as the actual Grinch and the actual Scrooge talking about the problem with Christmas. But what I do want us to do, and as we kind of wrap our short Christmas episode up here, is I just want us to remember that if Christ has come, he's not still in the manger, right? So when we celebrate Christmas, we celebrate Christ's coming, but he's not still in the manger. I actually remember preaching a message one time, and I said, don't keep Christ in Christmas, which is not to say that it should be a secular holiday, but it's to say that if we just limit Christ to Christmas, he's always a baby, and therefore he's
Right.
always safe. And he's never doesn't have any claim on our lives. He doesn't expect us to do anything except coo and oh and ah and sing songs, like Away in a Manger. But if Christ is in fact Lord, then he's not still in Christmas. He's enthroned in the highest heaven.
Right.
And the comfort and the joy and the peace and the hope and the love are available year round. We don't have to wait for Christmas to be kind to our neighbors. We don't have to wait for Christmas to say, hey, the light is shining in this world, and it is the light that he's given to us for us to shine. And oh, by the way, we don't need to go over here to Christmas in order to experience the wonder of God's presence or his love. And so I think that because we've attached so much to Christmas, and because it's become this kind of cultural phenomenon, and we celebrate it rightly, if I were going to ask it to creep in any other way, I would say, let it creep into our character, let it creep into how we treat one another, and let it creep. It doesn't have to be red and green and lights and songs in order to do that, but. Yeah, so I hope that doesn't make me sound like a Grinch.
No, I don't think so. I mean, look, in those movies that you mentioned, I mean, even in the Grinch and in A Christmas Carol. By the way, if you haven't seen the 1938 Christmas Carol, I would very highly recommend it. I just watched it the other night. Very, very good movie. I would say, too, in those stories of the Grinch and even A Christmas Carol, that, the beautiful thing is that they do, though, look into the character that goes beyond just like the outside, buying and the, what is the like how the Grinch eventually looks at the fact that, or at least in the newer films or even in the old cartoon, that they didn't really need the gifts and the tree and all the other stuff to celebrate Christmas, because it really came down to the heart. And also Ebenezer Scrooge finds out through looking at all the different parts of his life through, past, present. I mean, there are really good like messages within even those characters that are saying like, hey, Christmas is more than just, but it's still not reaching that point of, hey, Christmas is even more than that, which we know as Christians, as Christmas is even more than that. It's the true sign of hope. It's the ultimate sign of hope, because now we have hope. We have a Savior. And that's what it should bring to mind, and the joy and the warmth and the joy of the Lord that comes from knowing that we have a hope that was
That's right.
sent and can remember that. That's the ultimate, right? But even those movies like can still. That's why I also love It's a Wonderful Life, because it shows like how the kindness of other human beings can really, change someone's life as well. There are some very good, like I would say opposite Hallmark quality Christmas movies with really good messages that again don't hit the main point, right? But as Christians, we can look at it and say, yeah, that the way that they acted towards that person does reflect the fruit of the Spirit, or does reflect Christ. So it could bring joy to our hearts and warmth to our heart. I mean, I watched It's a Wonderful Life, not necessarily, it's not a Christian movie, but the fact that it was, highlighting just the kindness, highlighting just how you can, or how he only had, one chance in his life to do a certain thing. And if he never existed, and just how like he would be, when he came back and he was so nice, that he was so happy to see everybody, at the end of the movie, and like so like warm, and and how his wife like got the whole town together. I mean, those things like can bring such joy. So Christmas can bring those things out, and it can inspire you to do that. But the root behind it, like you're saying, like we want to make sure that we're contacting that original root, which seems to get kind of like more glossed over each and every year.
Right. Well, what I want to say is, like as you said, so the heroes in each of these movies are heroes outside of the Christmas season. So, so whether it's who's the lead character, it's who's the lead character in It's a Wonderful Life, I can't remember, but George Bailey, right? So George Bailey is a hero consistently he's got this character throughout his life, and so Christmas is the season where he gets celebrated for his, in the movie at least, he gets celebrated. Tiny Tim, right? He's got nothing, and Bob Cratchit can give him nothing. And so they have a very austere Christmas. And that's what inspires Ebenezer Scrooge. It's not the consumerism. And as you mentioned in How the Grinch Stole Christmas, it's the whose resilience when everything is taken away that inspires the Grinch, right? So it's not. I think you're helping me, establish this point that it's none of the things that we actually associate with Christmas that inspire us.
Or at least that's what we're supposed to be told through those stories. That's the point of those stories. And like you said, those things can happen outside of Christmas. It just happened to exist
and should
at Christmas time. But like Christmas just happened to be the setting, But like those things can, like George Bailey's story could have happened in March. I mean, it just happened to take, but of course,
but
like
then the angel wouldn't have gotten its wings because there was no bell.
That's true. Although I don't know the accuracy, but we'll see.
Yeah. All right. So as we wrap up, I'm curious to know whether our viewers have opinions on this. We'd love to hear from you. So click like, click subscribe, comment below. Do we sound like the Grinch? Do we sound like Bah Humbug Scrooge? If we're questioning how much emphasis Christmas should have in our lives, the holiday. I'm talking about the holiday, or maybe comment below about your Christmas hangover, the day after Christmas when you go to take all the stuff back and tear all the decorations down. We like to leave ours up until at least like 2 weeks into January, but we'd love to hear from you. And then stay tuned for our next episode when we'll get a little more personal and we'll share a little bit about what makes Christmas special to us. So we look forward to seeing you then. Thanks for joining us.
See ya.